Us. Welcome to Bushido 3. We are joined today by Brody Joseph, the Bushido 3 Kickboxing Champion. Thank you, Brody, for coming today.
Thank you for having me, Lawrence. It's a pleasure to be here with you, and I'm glad to catch up with you.
Yeah. So first questions first is what style are you, or do you consider yourself?
I would definitely consider myself a Muay Thai specialist. That's what I first started training when I was 10 years old. My first, I don't even know how many, a dozen or so fights were Muay Thai, but the goal was always to get to MMA. But as you know, you have to be, and at least Wisconsin, I don't know how it works everywhere else, but where I came up, you have to be at least 18 to fight. So Muay Thai was just a route that I took to prepare myself for that, but it ended up really skyrocketing, and I fell in love with that sport. But yeah, when it comes down to fighting, I'm definitely a striker, Muay Thai specialist.
Yes, definitely. You are a fantastic striker. It's awesome to watch you go, and your head movement's good. Your multi-directional angles are good, and your last fight, you looked really awesome. How'd you feel in your last fight?
Oh, I mean, it was good to get the win. I appreciate that I got the win and all the support from everybody that came out, and that was really cool, that venue, having all my people there. When I reflect on what's really important, how I performed and how I responded and adjusted, I wasn't happy with a lot of things, and I know where I can be mentally and physically, what I can display. I did enough to win the fight, but I think I should have been able to put him away sooner than what the fight went to.
Okay. Yeah. How do you describe kind of that fighter that you went against, Jimmy Doe, which was his name? How did you feel what he was working on, and were you able to neutralize it from your point?
Yeah, so we had seen, as every coach and fighter does, you do your homework on the opponents that you're going to be facing. I even was able to talk to another fighter who had fought Jimmy just last summer, and it all was like, he was this way, he was, Jimmy does this, let's train for this. And Jimmy came out and he didn't do any of it. So I was really working on, because my default setting is I'll stick my feet in the mud and I'll just stand there and I'll throw hands with you. That's my default mode. So we tried to break that. Kind of let's play outside. I'm long. Let's keep it outside and just pick them apart. But Jimmy was playing outside and it wasn't going my way. So we came back after, I think, round 3, and it was just kind of like everything we've done the last 10 weeks, scratch it. Go back to what you want to do. And I'm like, green light. All right, let's bang this one out.
Okay. Were you hurt at any time in that fight at all?
I had hurt my foot a couple weeks before the fight, but as you know, the adrenaline from fighting, I didn't feel nothing during it. It was good. He was definitely landing some shots, and I was landing some as well. But no, I felt really good during this fight.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been able to tell if there was an injury at all because, like I said, yeah, you moved good and you made those angles, and I think that made the difference in your fight, definitely.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Now, who's your favorite 3 fighters, I guess, or your top 3 fighters?
I like that question. I would have to say, just from like when I grew up, the guys who were always my idols were George St. Pierre and Dan Hardy. Dan Hardy was number 1, and a lot of people don't.
Yeah, Dan Hardy.
But it's really kind of contradicting to like those 2 guys because they're so different. GSP is he's a clean cut, never gotten any trouble. Just everybody loves him because of how respectful he is. And Dan Hardy, the outlaw, he talks openly about, how he dabbles in psychedelics, and he's just a little different. He's got the big red mohawk and full of tattoos. They were totally different people, but I liked them both for different reasons. And I feel like just the way I came up, I've got a little bit of both of that in my fighting.
Yeah, Dan Hardy doesn't get enough credit, I don't think. He was an awesome striker in the 170s, lots of power. Yeah. I mean, do you remember seeing that fight where he knocked out a guy with that left hook? He got hit with the left hook too, and he won that fight, right? Was it where he threw a left hook and the other guy threw a left hook?
Carlos Condit. That was Carlos Condit.
Yeah, okay.
Both the left hook at the same time. Dan Hardy was the one that lost. Dan Hardy got knocked out.
Oh, was it? Okay, yeah.
But everybody knows
that shot. That is right.
Punch and just they both got each other, but Carlos was 1 second 0.1 second faster.
Right, that's right, definitely. Yeah. So we got Dan Hardy and GSP, and who else?
For my third, ooh, I would have to give it to Israel Adesanya.
Yeah.
That guy. Oh, he took the route that I kind of vision myself, that I see myself on right now. How he started with kickboxing or Muay Thai, between the two, glory rules, stuff like that. He came up a kickboxer with the goal in mind to make it to the UFC. So he ran through all them, really high-end promotions in kickboxing, developed his game. I've gone back and watched just about every one of his fights because it was actually something a coach recommended me, because they're like, you and him are built a lot alike. Mm-hmm. And when I watch Israel Adesanya fight, I think of you. So I want you to see what he does, because he's like you, but at a new level. Mm-hmm. So I watched all his fights, and you could just see him grow and just grow and grow. And I mean, he's so confident in his movements and his striking ability, and he has so much personality and just individualness to the way that he fights, and I want that, and I believe that I can do it. And now he's tearing the UFC apart, because he knew that he was ready for it. So if I could pick a route to take, I'd hop on that train. That one, he's doing all right.
Mm-hmm. Now, what sports have you competed in since you've been a young martial artist, and now where you are today? What sports or arts have you competed in?
I started with wrestling. So I was initially interested in MMA, and I told my mom that I wanted to try it, and she's like, all right, she was going to let me try it. And she just, through mutual friends, knew Pat O'Malley, mm-hmm. who used to own Chosen Few back when I was that age. And he told me, if you want to be a fighter, you have to wrestle. So then I started wrestling, and I wrestled would have been 10 years old or 5th grade, somewhere in there. And I wrestled all through high school. I think it ended up being 8 years of wrestling. And I've been playing football every year since I was in kindergarten. But I did not play football my senior year of high school because I went to Bangkok, Thailand during the season. And it just didn't work out for me to do both. It wasn't an option for me to do both, basically.
All right. Tell me about going to Bangkok, Thailand. Tell me about that trip.
That was pretty wild. So what got me into it was in June, I fought at the TBAs, which is North America's largest amateur Muay Thai tournament. And I had won it for the 4th time. I think it was just a unanimous decision. It wasn't knockout. But Team USA, the youth team, had scouts there. They were looking for people who could compete for Team USA's first ever youth Muay Thai team and take them to the World Championships in Bangkok.
Nice.
And so they came up to me after the fight, and they're like, hey, if you can raise $5,000 in 6 weeks, you can come with us. So then it was basically like, I still had the belt on my shoulder and blood on my face. And I was like, all right, let's get ready for the next one. And I mean, the community just helped me out so much. And we got out there, and even just being out there was wild, because I'm not much of a traveler. Mm-hmm. I stay in my spot. I really like Wisconsin. If I'm going somewhere, it's usually into the woods, and or fishing or something like that. I'm usually pretty out there if I have free time. But to go to a different country, and I was able to take my dad with me, it was quite an experience to just see a different culture for the first time. And the way I did it was really cool. I didn't get to have a lot of fun in Thailand, which I could have, but my mentality was, we're going here to fight. This isn't a free vacation for me. I'm here to represent, not only myself, my family, which I do every fight, or the state of Wisconsin, but this is the entire United States. So I tried to put it all on my back, and I didn't come home with gold, and I went down swinging and broke my hand, broke the guy's nose that I fought, and gave it my all.
Yeah. Well, that's the true makings of a champion, giving it your all, and also taking the mature route of knowing that it's not vacation. It's there to put in work and do business. And I definitely believe that paid off for you, because there's a ton of people I was able to see just from sitting where I sit, how many people support you and come out to your fights that are here in Madison, whether it's MMA or even kickboxing. Definitely, you have a good support system.
Yeah, it's humbling. It's really cool, because I don't ask for it. I don't go out there begging and pleading for people to follow me, and even I'm not very active on Instagram, and usually my posts suck because I'm not searching for the likes. I don't live for the likes. Right. I don't believe the moment, if you don't put it on Instagram, it didn't happen. That's not how I live. I'm just out there. I'm more chasing moments, not trying to capture them with a camera. And I think people appreciate that, and they're like, hey, he's out here. He's really trying to do something, and I don't stop. I'm on that track, and I've made my own rails, and now the train's going, and there's a bunch of people that have hopped on, and it's a lot of fun. I appreciate every single person, and even the people that don't like me, I don't really care. I'm just gonna do my own.
You gotta have them too, because they'll still buy a ticket.
Yeah, which is whatever. At the end of the day, I'm doing this because this is what I like to do. I've lived the normal life, 9 to 5. The alarm clock goes off, put your work pants on, go to work, and I realize now that I've been living on my own for enough time, because I've been fighting for so long, I never really, there just came a point where I felt like a lot of people around me were a lot hungrier for the game than I was, which I didn't understand because I had so many highs when I was just all throughout my teenage years.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what was going on once I graduated. Like, I went to college for a little bit, but then didn't really know if I liked the degree that I was in. And it was just so many questions at 18, 19 years old, but I was still getting in the gym because I mean, that's what I've always done, but it just felt like everyone around me was like they wanted it, and now I didn't want it anymore. So I just kind of never really fully left. Like, I never retired. I wasn't going to retire at 19 years old, but I just had to take a step back and live my life. And I got my own place and my own, I have my own bills. I was so excited to have my own bills. But now that I'm here, I realize that I've got a small window to make it big time. And I believe in myself. I think that I can do great things. I know I can work hard. And if you want me to stop fighting it, you're going to have to knock me out. So I think all those things combined, I just got to give it until I can't. And then if I don't make it, I'll turn around and I'll go back to being an iron worker. But right now, I feel like I've just got this piece of gold or diamond in my hand. I got to do something with what I've built up for so long.
Mm-hmm.
I think I can do really good things with it. And that's what I think people support me for. And that's where I'm headed. I'm not stopping until I get something.
Nice. And now another thing that sort of catches me a little bit is the Bandit. Tell me about how you got that name, the Bandit.
I don't even know how long that's been around or where it came from, whether it was my friends or the gym, but I think I was just a little bit different than anyone else in the gym. I wasn't always super personable or happy. I was kind of a loner. When I walk into the gym, I kind of walk in like the king, like the champ, as every fighter should do. If you want to be the best, you got to have that mentality all the time. I don't go to the gym to mess around with my buddies. So I was just kind of on my own little island. And if I'm not at the gym, I'm out with my bow and arrow or fishing. I think it was a lot of the hunting and fishing thing too. But just that loner.
What you do for fun is hunting and fishing?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Good. Now, do you like to go out by yourself, or do you like to go out with a friend or a family member at all? Or
I used to, since I turned 16, that's all I ever wanted to do. I just wanted to hunt. It was just that part of my life. I was wearing cowboy boots and the hat, and I wanted to be out in the woods. I just wanted to be gone. I don't know if it was probably because that's what my dad always did, and I look up to my dad a lot. I still do, but when I was younger and he would go out, I'm like, that's what I want to do. So I went out by myself almost all the time. I just wanted to prove to myself that, hey, I can take down, something that not just the average Joe can do on my own. Take down big turkeys and elder, mature white-tailed deer. That was a big thing I wanted to do, because hunting, I think every kid should learn how to shoot guns or hunt, and just that kind of general thing, because it teaches you that if you make a mistake there, you can't blame anybody else. If you scare something off, that's your fault. And if you end up victorious in the moment, there's nobody else that can take it away from you. But I feel like I've done all that, and I'll always be a little bit country, and I think that's where the Bandit came from. But my primary focus right now is fighting. So in the last year or so, I've actually done more like taking other people out. Just yesterday, I took my little brother out fishing just for fun, not as serious anymore, because all my seriousness is focused into fighting now.
Good. And how old are you actually right now?
I will be 21 in like 2.5 weeks or something like that. Yeah.
Nice. So yeah, you're young and you have the world like this. The sky's the limit, definitely. So who's made a huge impression as an instructor or as a coach in your life that you can talk about? Not just one or multiple, or type of things that they sort of built into you.
Yeah. The first instructor I ever had probably had the biggest impact on me. That was Mike Vaughn.
Mm-hmm.
He was the one who started the Blast. He wanted to be an MMA fighter. And I won't talk too much about his story because I'm not positive on all the details, but I know he had an injury that just didn't work out for him. He was training with guys like Stephan Bonner, and he was going around the world. He knew Master Toddy, who's from Thailand, and if you know that name, I'm sure you do.
Oh yes.
I'd met him when I went to Thailand too. It was really neat. Mike Vaughn was just kind of like the best way to put it is almost like he was like my second dad in a way. I've been going to him since I was 11 years old, and it was just him and I were just like peanut butter and jelly. I don't really know. I haven't thought about it too much, but him and I still keep in touch. He's not around anymore, I guess, for the people who don't know who Mike Vaughn is. He helped me win 3 of those national titles for the amateur Muay Thai. And he had a second passion, which was raising bird dogs, so dogs for bird hunting. And now he's the world champion bird dog hunter, and he's on a TV show called Bird Dog Wars. So it's like that guy just sets his mind to something and goes out and crushes it. I've always loved that about him. There's no hard feelings that he doesn't, you let passions go. Kind of like I was saying with hunting. I used to look at guys who said, I used to hunt all the time. I'm like, how are you not doing it anymore? But I get that you kind of mature and grow up. And now my kick is what it's been since I was, however old, is fighting. I just want to focus all my seriousness, and I want that to be my career. That should be my legacy and my moneymaker.
Very nice.
But as far as other people who have had an impact, Mark Evans, him and I met when he was, having some health issues, and he came to the Blast to get over them. And I was just a young, skinny kid, and just 2 totally opposite people, but we hit it off. It was just like the same energy. And now he's the owner of the Blast. He's got a few champions under his belt, and him and I, we're more like brothers, like Vaughn's the dad, me and Shaw are brothers. And I can talk to, it's just more or less guys that you can take a relationship outside of the gym as well. Like, we can get in there and we can get work done, but I'm going to call you when things ain't going right in my personal life. And I want you to be my friend. I have a lot of family members that I don't talk to anymore. And guys like Mike and Shaw, they're not blood, but they're more family than most anybody in the world to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I must say I've seen the relationship between you and Shaw, and I'm like, that's awesome. That is a connection that every fighter should have with one person in their camp or whatnot, or their coach. That is an awesome bond that you guys do have. So
thanks.
I really like being a fan of both you guys, definitely.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So what's next for you, you think, in the next, say, 6 months after this COVID sort of chills out?
Yeah, the whole COVID thing is really crazy, especially for professional athletes. It's like nobody, besides UFC, everyone else is kind of have to put their life on pause, which I'm sure is financially scary and stuff like that. But I took the time to just focus on myself and try to reach a new level. And I'm getting as much training in as possible. I'm feeling really good. I'm just feeling good all around, cardio and exercise. I'm enjoying the process more than just looking for the next fight. I enjoy getting up every day and just working on myself, growing growing on the parts of my life that I want to grow. And then when the time's right, put it all on the line and swing some hands. But as far as what I want to do or where I want to do it, I don't have any answer. I just know that I want to do it soon. Because I feel ready. I feel ready, and I'll take on anybody. I don't think that there's really much of any competition in the area that is at my level. When I think of myself as a striker, I put myself in my own division, and I focus on my weaknesses more than my strengths. And soon enough, it's gonna be scary, and it's gonna be put to the test against the world. That's what I'm preparing for.
Good, definitely. So what weight do you prefer to fight at for MMA, and what weight do you like to fight at for kickboxing?
I've always fought 45.
Okay.
Yours was 147, which isn't much of a difference at all. When I wrestled in high school, I went from like 45 up to 60, but that doesn't really say much when you're not really putting hands on each other. So I don't know. I've never left that area, but I'll tell you what, I'm starting to put on a little bit more weight, and just because, not for any particular reason, it's just something that I'm working on, and I don't think weight is a big problem for me. I don't really focus on the weight. I focus on who wants to fight me.
Yeah, and you're filling out yet, and you'll be 21 soon, so I guarantee that you'll probably end up being a 55er full flush, or right in that 60 mark, 160 mark. I bet.
Yeah, that's all it is. I'm just so young that I'm not fully developed yet, so I'm still growing out. I might be done getting taller, which is fine. I don't want to get too much taller unless I start fighting at like 205, because I'm pretty tall for 145. But I'm starting to fill out, so yeah. I mean, just looking into the future, strategically, it'll probably be 55.
Yeah,
coming up soon. Yeah.
How tall are you?
6 flat, 6 foot nothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know I'm 5'9", and I remember when I was 18, I fought at 132, and then when I was like 29 or 30, I had a fight, and I fought at 200. So
yeah,
it's a fluctuation when you hit a certain age. It's like, oh, I'm bigger, I'm smaller, whatever, but you'll find the right spot to be at.
That's all it is. It's just fluctuation. I'm sure you didn't fight like you weren't looking like a big fat guy. It was just the age. You just filled out, and your hands got, everything. Yeah, that's just kind of the process I'm going through. But it really doesn't matter, man. I'm not going to be scared if I have to leave 145 to go fight bigger guys. I want to prove that I'm the baddest guy on the block. And, you don't get to pick in real life. You don't get to pick the size of the guy you fight. And isn't that kind of what this all is? It's just a simulation of, if this was real life, who would be the toughest guy? Weight class, kind of a joke.
Right, definitely. So, what's one of your most memorable fights, since you've had a long career actually already? What's your most memorable fight, whether it's a win or loss?
Right off the bat, I know what it is. This is, anyone who knows me for a long time, they know this fight would be my answer. I had won 2 TBAs in a row. I think I was 3-0 right off the bat, fighting at that national tournament. I came back for the 3rd year in a row, and I won my first fight on Saturday, but it was a close one, and it shouldn't have been a close one. Like, I knew that I probably should have beat the crap out of that kid. But it's like, all right, we got the win. I was tired, super tired. The next day, I was fighting for the title, so 2nd place was guaranteed, but the medal ain't nothing. The second, Ricky Bobby, if you ain't first or last, right?
Right.
So we're going for gold on Sunday, and I don't know. I remember that fight, and I remember feeling super duper tired, and I just got outworked cardio wise. I couldn't keep up. Made it to the end of the fight, didn't get knocked out or nothing like that. But even before the judges called it out, I knew that I had lost, and I was cool with it. I was respectful, shook his hand, and we came back, and even my coaches just thought that I must have been slacking on cardio, and that's all you would think at the time. You see a guy lose a fight because he's too tired, and he must not have been working hard enough on his cardio. Well, fast forward to the end of summer, I'm starting my football season. I don't know if that would be junior or sophomore year. I got hit. I don't even remember the play, but I got hit. I hurt my ribs pretty bad, and I wanted to go to the doctor, so my mom took me in, and the doctor checked it out, and he listened to my heart, and he said he could hear something it just didn't sound right to him, and he listened again, and he's like, you should go into a cardiologist and just get this checked out. So I went in, they did the ultrasound, they went underneath the sternum, checked it out, and they found a hole in my heart.
Oh, wow.
That was actually, I'm not a doctor. I'm not in the medical field. I just fight people. So I don't know all the fancy words, but it's basically like recirculating blood twice through it was making it very difficult. The right side of my heart had been enlarged due to the overload of work. So that was like not good at all. That was the reason for, feeling tired all the time, which didn't make sense because I was a 3-sport athlete. I never stopped, and I did work in my free time. It just didn't make sense. But now we had an answer. There was a problem, and I was told that particular hole would have led me to heart failure in the near future. They said that I probably wouldn't have made it past 40 years old, If I made it that long, it would have just kept, gets bigger and bigger as shit keeps getting pumped through it. And so they were like, you got to get that fixed. So at 14 years old, I think we did it that same week. I'm like, when can you do it? They're like, Wednesday. I'm like, all right, let's do it Wednesday. So I took a couple days. We went in, and it was just like, I didn't even get nervous for it. I just knew, like, okay, we have to do this so we can get back to fighting. It's going to be a long road, but I was just ready for it. Let's do this. So I went in. They put me under. I woke up, and for the next week, I needed someone's help to even just get out of bed and walk to the bathroom, tied up to wires. And for the next 3 or 4 months, I couldn't even carry my backpack through the school. They didn't let me do nothing. They didn't let me do anything because I had a new piece of metal in my heart to close that hole. So they put me out of any sort of contact or lifting or anything for 6 months. I ended up shooting a deer in that time. They told me I could go deer hunting. I kind of made them let me do that, and then my dad had to drag it out. But after all that, when they told me I could go back, as soon as they gave me the green light, it was almost exactly 3 months from TBA. So I was like, can I go 100%? They said, go for it. So boom, right back at it. We just hopped right into a fight camp after being out for 6 months. I worked super hard just because I knew like I had so much catching up to do, because I hadn't even lifted more than 5 pounds for the last couple months.
Right.
Made it to that fight. And it was one of the toughest fights I've ever had. My opponent he was really big. He was a big kid from Texas. He had dreadlocks. He looked all intimidating. He was built, and we knew that he could kick. That's all that he had. And my dad kept saying, like, don't worry about it. All he's got are some tough kicks. So I walked out. We touched gloves, and I blocked the first one. That's the first thing he did, kick. And I felt it crack through both of my forearms. And I was like, this is going to be a really long fight. And we went back and forth, and it was really kind of a technical slugfest. He knocked me down in the first round. I got an 8 count. Like a minute into the fight, started taking 12 sixes to the top of the head. The ref stopped, counted. I came back. So I knew that I had to win the next 2 rounds just to tie the fight. So we basically just made it a sprint more than a marathon. We just started banging it out. At the end of the third, or nearing the end of the third round, my coaches called for a head kick, and he heard the call. I could tell that he heard the call. So I threw the head kick. He leans back. He was going to jump me, and I threw a spinning back kick, caught him running a sternum. Everyone loves him, and that was it. I changed the momentum of the fight right there. I was down, and he never came back from that. We ended up going to the end of the third. We were both dead tired, and they called for a 4th round, which at the TBA they hardly ever do.
Right.
And then we went one more, and I just knew that there was no way. I've been in deep water before, and I'm not going to lose because I'm tired. I'm going to send it until you knock me out or they call the bell. And that's what it took. And I could see in his eyes. I took it out of him, and then I took it to him. Yeah.
And then the win was yours, correct?
Yep. So at the end of the 4th, they raised my hand and took another belt home. And then it was like all that last year was just, I solidified who I am as a person. I went from not even being able to take a pee without someone's help to, kicking the ass of someone who I don't know. I didn't even know if I could at the time. So that was like a big milestone in my life that just proved like, dude, you can do whatever you want if you want to do it and you put in the work. So from that point on, I just knew that this is who I am.
Wow. That's a great story, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. I like that one.
Yeah. At this time, I'd like to say thank you for talking with us, and the floor is yours to thank anybody that you want to thank, and it's all yours.
Yeah, well, I'd first like to thank you just for giving me a platform to talk about, some of these stories that a lot of people don't know about. Some people, most people know my name, but know nothing about me. And I feel like my supporters, that's why they support me, is because they know some of these things that I've been through. So thanks, Lawrence, for bringing me on. I guess, if I've got a moment to thank everybody else, it's just anybody who has helped me along the way. All my friends who support what I do instead of being negative. My parents, just for letting me even ever be a fighter. All those coaches I talked about, and anyone who deserves a thank you should take this and know that it's for them. Because if it weren't for anybody else, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. And it took me a long time to realize that. but I'm at a point in my life where I appreciate everyone's help, and it's all about connecting with people, because that's how you grow. So thanks to everybody that's made me who I am.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining Bushido 3, and we'll see you next time.
You'll see me real soon.